Dude, can't hear you.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Good. How is Vegas? Or are you at a lounge somewhere? I don't know. I don't know where you
No, I'm in Vegas, baby. Vegas. It is 104.
shouldn't you be shouldn't you be with no shirt on then? Isn't that how this works?
Dude, we're not doing this on the show. That's not that. No, that is a no bueno. Not going to happen. No, thank you, sir.
You
Um,
shouldn't be in flex mode?
I, well, flex mode may come later. I just saw the pools downstairs, so flex mode may come after this podcast, and I don't know who's flexing due to our picks last week. I didn't have a chance to do it, so uh,
Really? You didn't have a chance to take 10 minutes and go through?
neither did you.
Well, you said you were doing it. I always do it the next day.
All right, well, I didn't have a chance, so let's do it right now. So Victor went first, right? Who went second? Brandon Miller. Third was Henderson. Fourth was Thompson. Who went sixth?
Black.
Black went sixth. Okay, seventh was not Jarvis Walker.
It was Kubali.
Oh yeah, Kubali, who neither one of us had anywhere near there. Walker went 8. Hendricks went 9. 10 was Wallace. Okay, 11 was it Dick?
Jet Howard.
Howard, right? 12 to the Thunder.
Derek Lively.
Right, who got traded. 13 to the Raptors.
Grady Dick.
14 to the Pelicans.
Jordan Hawkins.
Oh, I actually got that one right. Woohoo! The Hawks picked
Kobe Buffkin.
Buffkin. I didn't get that one right. The Jazz got who?
Keontae George.
I got that one right too. I think I won this one. Okay, the Lakers.
Yeah, I thought I had a pretty good run on this too.
The Lakers. They picked Schifino.
Did the Lakers say Coach Schifino?
Yeah, they picked Schifino. The Heat.
No, I did get Buffkin.
The Heat picked Jaquez.
Yep.
And then the Warriors picked. Oh darn! I had this at the start, and then I moved it.
Brandon Podziemski.
Yeah, I had that to begin with. Okay, the Rockets did not pick Prosper. Who'd they pick?
No, they took Whitmer.
Right, Whitmer. Your Nets.
They took Clowney and Whitehead.
Got one of those, right? Okay, the Blazers.
Chris Murray.
Kings.
Prosper.
Grizzlies. We both got this one totally wrong because Rupert was picked like 43rd overall.
Yep. Marcus Sasser.
Neither one of us had him in the first round. We didn't get the Pacers right.
Ben Shepard.
Nope. Okay. The Hornets.
Hornets took Nick Smith.
You got this one on. Okay. The Jazz.
Bryce Sensabaugh.
Okay. Nuggets.
Julian Strother.
And the Clips.
Kobe Brown.
So, all right. Tell me your biggest surprises, and I will go through this and see how we did.
Oh, I mean, I think the biggest shock was Cam Whitmore falling from. I had him at 5. Most people had him at mid lottery and maybe dropping a little, but I don't think anyone had him dropping to 20, or to 20 was it 20 or was it below that? He went to Houston. Oh yeah, he went to Houston. It was at 20. That's the big. I think that was the shock. Grady Dick's outfit, I think, kind of blew everybody's mind. Not really in a good way. And unless, as he said, he can never, if he taps his feet 3 times, he'll go home to Kansas. I mean, I don't think, did the Chris Paul deal happen before then?
Oh, I was going to talk about the Chris Paul deal, so it did not happen before we started talking.
Okay, so that was a shock. John Collins, after 5 years, gets traded for absolutely
nothing.
I don't understand. I mean, they get a $25 million trade exemption. Okay, capologist, I'll let you discuss this.
Oh, the trade exemption? Yeah. I mean, we can go through that.
I mean, the Wizards. To be fair, we crushed the Wizards deal, not realizing that the Wizards got four first round swaps and six second round picks in
Correct.
the deal, which makes this a lot better. I mean, we didn't hate it just to get off of the salary, but that's a lot for someone who you're not a huge fan of, and if he's not healthy, we'll see how it plays out. Um, but it was not a particularly interesting draft, to be perfectly honest.
No,
I
I really felt like the draft was just awful. I mean, everything.
I thought the announcers were actually really good. I
Well,
thought
yeah,
Reddick
that's
and
true.
Billis and Wake Andrews, and I don't remember who the other one was. I thought they were excellent. We talked about this. The problem I'm having is I don't know who these players are. I don't know who. I mean, I know who Cam Whitmore is. I know who Jamie Jaquez is, but and again, I'm starting to feel like the crotchety get off my lawn, dude. But I liked it when I had seen these players for 2 or 3 years play, and I have some connection.
Yeah.
I mean, even the NFL draft, I may not know the offensive lineman per se, but I know who Peter Skinskowski was. I knew who Broderick Jones was. I may not know who was the better of the two because I am not a scout, but like I've seen these guys. I've seen Jalen Hyatt. I've seen all these guys play for the last few years. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. When they play 1 year and I see 3 of their games, it's hard for me to have any real feel for them. So I don't enjoy it. It was the first time I can remember I really did not enjoy the draft. Except for Grady Dick's outfit. That was just absolutely freaking sensational.
If you give me 2 more minutes, 1 more minute, I am almost done with this.
I'm trying
We're
to think.
getting well. We're getting into the bottom where we didn't pick any really correct, so that's helpful.
But I thought they did well. I thought Portland, I thought Portland actually did nicely with Henderson and with Chris Murray. Look, I still think that, is the problem is the league is literally at a standstill waiting to see if Lillard's going to get traded or not, to a point where it's almost getting annoying.
Okay, hold on. We have finals.
Okay.
You put up a 62, and I put up a 70. So,
Oh,
yeah.
flex.
Vindication from the NFL draft.
The NFL draft was a whipping.
So,
Was a whooping.
so I got Clowney flat on. You got Nick Smith flat on.
Yeah, I was off by. I got the right team with Clowney. That was fluky because it was either 20 or 21.
I got George. Right. I got George flat on, Keontae George. I got Jordan Hawkins flat on, and I got Hendricks flat on. You had Hendricks one off. You lost big on Whitmore, while I had Thompson as a 5, flat out right there. We both really messed up on Ryan Rupert, who went in the second round. We both messed up on James Najai, who went in the second round. And you definitely bought low on Prosper. And you had him 29, and he went 24. So not huge, but still bought low. But yeah, I mean, overall, look, I'll take a 70 on a draft where I knew very little. So I'll take it and run with it. Getting back to what you were saying, look, the Wizards made out better. I'm not sure that Jordan Poole contract is going to age well. No matter what, I'm not sure it's going to age well. They have 4 years and $130 million for. Yeah.
I thought they had 3 years.
No, the extension kicks in this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, 4 years. Look, it's still in the.
Let me ask you a question.
Who else are they getting with that money?
That wasn't no.
Okay. Well, that's a
Would
good
you
question.
would you? My God, you're like my wife. By the way, happy anniversary, wifey, because I know you're watching. Would you rather have Beal at 55 million or Poole at 30 million?
No, obviously, I'd like to have pull at 30 million. I mean, for the same amount of time. First of all, if nothing else, you got off of Bradley Beal's no trade clause, which means you can trade Jordan Poole again if you really wish to trade him, right? Secondly, it's $20 million less. You have, I mean, that's just monetarily. And B, you have all those swaps and all those second rounders. And second rounders become commodities. I mean, especially with the new CBA, and we can get into that next week when it comes into effect with that second apron and what is really lost for these teams that go over that second apron. It's a big deal. You can't make trades for more money. You cannot aggregate contracts. You do not have access to a mid-level exemption. I mean, these are draconian concepts. They are trying, they being the owners, and obviously the players agreed to this, are trying to prevent those the Steve Cohen teams, right? The Steve Ballmer teams, the teams that don't give a flying F about a cap. And we're going to see how that plays out in Phoenix, because if they don't get rid of DeAndre Ayton, they're going to be in that second apron for a very, very long time. Speaking of which, we talked a little bit about the Boston Celtics trade last week, but we didn't talk about who ultimately was traded, because the trade that we thought was coming back was Malcolm Brogdon going to the Clippers, Porzingis going to the Celtics, and there was a 13. The Wizards getting something, right?
It was Markieff Morris and something.
Yeah, Markieff Morris going to the Wizards. That trade flopped because of Malcolm Brogdon's elbow injury, and it became Marcus Smart going to the Grizzlies, Porzingis, and a first-round draft pick, which I still cannot for the life of me understand why they get the first, and the Wizards getting very little. I'm not sure. Look, there are a couple of ways to look at this trade if you're the Celtics. Number one, offensive versatility. They got better. They absolutely got better. Porzingis, other than Nikola Jokic, has the most average touches down low of any.
Which is mind-boggling to me, because we all think of him as a stretch five.
Correct. So that's number one. But with the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, he switches off on pick and rolls only 5% of the time. To give you a little comparison, Al Horford, who he would probably be replacing in crunch time situations, because there's only so many players you can play on the court at the same time, and you're not benching Jaylen Brown, and you're not benching Jason Tatum, and you're not benching Derek White, and you're not benching Robert Williams. So it's either Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis switches off 5% of the time, and Al Horford switches off 26% of the time. So you are taking the offense at the expense of the defense. This is really an offense-defense switch. So who is going to play in crunch time for them? And can they survive a pick and roll with those two players? That defense is going to change. It's going to, first of all, you just lost. I won't say lost. You just traded
one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball.
Exactly. And your overall leader. Your heart and soul.
The question is, they are the deepest team in the league at the guard spot.
They're the deepest team in the league everywhere.
Right, but specifically for the guards.
Sure, they have 4 guards.
They have Brown, who they're going to re-sign for $295 million. Dude, your man crush is no longer a bargain.
No, and he was a bargain. He was a man crush because he was a bargain. Exactly. So I'm not sure he's a man crush anymore.
Right. So
I have to find the next best contract in the NBA.
There you go. You have Brogdon.
Yep.
You have Derek White. Excuse me. You have Peyton Pritchard, who's a nice player.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you have 4 guards.
Yep.
So the idea of trading one makes sense. I'm a little surprised they traded Smart. I mean, he'll fit in well in Memphis, but You traded your captain and you traded your defensive identity by making this deal. And the question is, are you going to be someone who's just outscoring people at this point? Is that where you're going? I don't
Well,
know.
I think it has to be. So let's remember, Derek White is an all NBA defensive player. He made the third team. So while Smart didn't make it this year, White did. So I mean, they're replacing a defensive player with a defensive player. I'm okay with that. But they don't have a distributor. They don't have a true point guard. And they didn't have one this year either. And that might have been part of the downfall. Marcus Smart was never a true point guard to begin with.
No.
So and Mark Rubin, our resident Boston fan, called me up right after the trade and said, "So can we get Chris Paul?" I was like, "Of course you can, on the veteran minimum, if he's cut." And again, where is he playing now? I come back to the same thing with this team. The roster construction is awful. It just is. Look, the people that know, I've listened to the show, know my man crush on Jaylen Brown. I have one. But Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as a combo are not going to win you a championship, in my opinion. And if they do, it's because somebody else did something, not because of them. They are redundant. They are truly redundant players. And this is not a Jordan Pippen situation, which you may claim it could be, right? Jordan and Pippen won with redundancies. They really did. But they won because you had the best rebounder in the league, too, on that team. I mean, would Jordan and Pippen have won without Horace Grant and without Dennis Rodman? Probably not. Without the shooting around them of John Paxson and Craig Hodges.
I mean, that's a no-win question. If they didn't have Horace Grant, they would have had another power forward who was averaging 9 or 10 rebounds a game.
I think right, but okay, fair enough. But you have to supplement your team with strengths, and the strength that the Celtics do not have is outside shooting. They do not. They brought in Danilo Gallinari, who they traded in this trade, so they would have a guy that would sit at the 3-point line and just shoot. Like that was the goal. It was spacing.
Yeah.
They never got.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Celtics make another trade for a shooter.
Where? With what salary?
You'd have to have literally salary for salary.
And you'd have to. Well, and if you look at their cap room, which I love looking at because everybody knows,
because you're a capologist in your dream job.
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, doesn't everybody want that job?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So are they trading Jason Tatum? No. Are they trading Porzingis? No. Are they trading Brown? No. They can't trade Derek White now. Are they trading Robert Williams, the anchor of that defense? No. They can't trade Brogdon because of that injury, who he's out for 6 months. Are they trading Al Horford?
No, he has no.
Okay, let's say that they are. Let's say that they are. Al Horford makes $9 million. Seth, you're not getting JJ Redick at $9 million. In fact, JJ Redick said he'd come out of retirement on the draft for 23.
I was going to say, is Evan Fournier available?
But I mean, you're not getting a shooter for that $9 million. So, and when you're over the cap the way that the Celtics are, it is dollar in for dollar out. Yeah. So where, as I said before, this is poor roster construction, in my opinion. It gets you through the regular season. It does. I mean, you can outscore anybody in the regular season. But does it get you through the Miami Heat again?
I think you through. Again, depending on what I think. Look, I think Miami went on a really nice run, and I think Boston, like Milwaukee, deconstructed, Boston deconstructed.
Sure.
But the Miami, as they are built now, is not going to the finals again.
No, but I could see them beating the Celtics even in the quarters. Like with the construction that they have, who is guarding Jimmy Butler? Who? Who on this team is doing that?
Who in general is guarding Jimmy Butler? That's why he's Jimmy Butler.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I just don't think they had. First of all, trading Marcus Smart, like I said, ruins the identity of this, and that's not to say that they can't have another one. But he's had the identity for 10 years. They're going to have to learn how to do something else. He brought energy every single day. Number two, Kristaps Porzingis hasn't played 65 games in like 7 years. So I told Mark, if they get 190 games out of Porzingis, Williams, and Horford, you should be happy. That's 190 out of 200.
I don't think Boston fans are really equipped to be happy.
Okay, you should be satisfied.
I think that's a better way to put it.
Or you should be placated. That's a better word, placated. I did go through and I wanted to see who my next best contract is for the NBA. And truth be told, Nick Claxton.
Well, isn't he still on? Is he still on a what do you call it deal? A rookie deal?
He's not on a rookie deal. Could it be Alex Caruso, 3 years and 28? Actually,
Caruso was hurt most of last year.
Could it be Jared Allen, 4 years and 80?
It's not bad.
Ooh, I like that one.
Because you can't take rookie. You can't put a rookie contract as your favorite.
Okay, but 4 years and 80 is not a rookie contract.
No.
Could it be Kevon Looney at 3 years and 25?
That's not bad.
I
mean,
that
think about it. He is an essential player to a championship contender.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is going to laugh, but could it be Miles Turner, who by the way, has now replaced John Collins as the most traded player not to be traded in the NBA? He's going to be in every rumor going forward. Okay, so let's keep going. I can't use that one because that's a rookie contract. How about Bobby Portis? 4 years and 48. $12 million a year for Portis.
I think when it all comes, based on what you're saying, these are all pretty decent contracts. Allen is an all-star.
Wait, I got a better one. Wendell Carter, 4 years and 50.
Would you rather have Wendell Carter at 13 or Jared Allen at 20?
Okay, fair enough. How about Mikal Bridges, 4 years and 90?
That doesn't. that looks like an absolute steal right now.
I mean, he's going to obviously get. Or how about Sabonis, 2 years and 37?
Yeah, but they're trying to sign Sabonis to the extension right now.
Oh no, and you don't think Mikal Bridges is going to get one of those too?
Yeah, but he's got 2 or 3 more years before he hits it. But yes,
I don't know what his status is. Hold on.
I think he's 1 year in.
If he's 1 year in, that's the best contract in the NBA by far. Not even close.
Well, that's why everyone offered 15 first-round picks for him.
Okay, hold on. So Mikal Bridges is 4 years and 90. Yeah, and he expires in 2026. Yep. Yeah. That's the best contract in the NBA. Welcome, Brooklyn Nets, to my new you are the best contract in the my man crush is now from Jaylen Brown to Mikal Bridges.
There you go.
Just for the contract. Okay, so we have a couple of free agents that are coming up, obviously. I want you to play Nostradamus. Where are these guys going to wind up? Okay. Russell Westbrook.
Shanghai Dragons.
You think he's out of the NBA?
I think so. I don't know who's going to sign. I don't know who's going to make an offer to him at the price point he wants. He's been on a third of the teams in the league or a quarter of the teams in the league at this point. He's going to want 25 30, he's going to want 30 to 35 million a year. I don't see him taking 10 million a year, 15 million a year. And I don't see him getting that money here in the NBA.
Okay, so he's 35 years old. I'm going to play opposite with you. and I think he's going to stay with the Clippers for about $10 million. I think he'll get the mid-level for 1 or 2 years.
You think
And
you
stay
think
with
that
them.
that he'll sign that? He'll take that?
Yes. Yeah, because he'll be playing at home. He enjoyed playing with the Clippers last year. I think he stays with them.
He did.
Yeah, and I don't think Ballmer has a problem paying that. So
No.
whatever. Okay, Chris Middleton. Now Chris Middleton's coming off a contract of $35 million a year, but has been
Just turned down
injured.
a $40 million player option. I think he stays in Milwaukee. I think he'll sign 25 to 30 million a year. He's what, 35 coming off injury?
He's
He's not
32 coming off injury.
yeah,
32
so
coming off injury.
4 for 110.
4 for 110. Okay. By the way, that would also put him in the top contracts in the NBA if he did 4 for 110.
Well, the problem is he's been injured
Right.
he's been injured. I do believe he will take a hometown discount.
Okay. James Harden.
I think he stays in Philly.
After all that, after everything that's going on, he stays in Philly. Okay. So he's 34 years old. He's actually younger than Westbrook, which seems hard to believe that he's younger than Westbrook. He's coming off a
Well, because
contract.
he looks 10 years older than Westbrook.
Well, yeah, he's got Greg Oden syndrome. He is coming off a contract where he's earning $34.3 million and took a discount, right?
He
So
did.
they would get Tucker and get Daniel House. How much and more importantly, how many years is James Harden getting at 34 years old?
I think we'll get 3.
3 at 120? Is he getting 40 a year?
Not getting 40, but he'll get in the 30s.
Okay. So 3 at 100 or 110.
105. We'll say 3 at 35 a year.
Mr. Kyrie Irving.
I think he stays in Dallas. I think they have to re-sign him, and I don't think the Lakers can make the offer that he wants.
By the way, Dallas won the draft.
Yes.
Dallas did everything. The whole I wanted them to lose because of the whole tanking thing at the end of the year, but that tanking thing worked out tremendously for them. They got 2 first-round picks.
He got off Bertrand's contract. They got the player they want, and they got an additional first-round pick.
And they got Rashawn Holmes, who they believe will play better than
will be a serviceable backup center. Yeah,
Derek Lively, the guy that they wanted,
who they hope becomes Tyson Chandler.
Yep. Okay.
I think I don't know what he gets.
How many years? That's the key. I don't think.
I think he's going to coincide with Doncic, so probably 3 more years.
Okay.
Because I think they feel if Doncic is out, if they don't trade Doncic, he's got 3 years. Why are you going to keep Kyrie if you're not going to keep Doncic? You might as well just just hope that those 2 of them can figure out how to coincide.
Well, I'll tell you now, if Doncic if they don't win this year, certainly if they don't make the playoffs this year, you're going to see Luka demand a trade next summer.
Right.
And that's what my Knickerbockers are waiting for. I mean, I don't think I don't think the Knicks have the goods, quite frankly, for that trade.
You're going to trade him back Jalen Brunson?
No.
I mean,
no. Well, and again, it's 1 more year to see how Julius Randle plays. Is he last year or is he the year before? Right? Is he an all?
Do you agree with me? Kyrie's going back to Dallas?
I do, because I don't think there's any other option for him. And it's not that I don't even think the Lakers want him.
Probably. I think LeBron.
I think LeBron wants him, but I think Rob Pelinka, if you gave him Sonia Penethol, would say, "I want no part of this guy. I want nothing to do with him." I mean, Kyrie has destroyed every franchise he has been with. I mean, it's sad, but he has. Every franchise he has been with, he has destroyed. Okay.
Where does Fred VanVleet go? I'm not sure why that was funny, but I'm assuming whoever's in the room with you cracked you up?
So I'm here with my buddy Mike, and I'm crashing in his suite, and he said, "You know, it's funny. I had to take that conference call in the bathroom because you're on your podcast." So yes, that was funny. I put thumbs up, Mike.
Glad I can amuse you.
Fred VanVleet. There aren't many teams with money. That's the thing. Like, where would he go? I think actually a great place for him would be Detroit. But I don't think he goes there because I think they want to win, right? Or he wants to win. I don't think he goes there. He could fit in Detroit very well. I think
they've spent the last 2 years taking Cunningham and Ivy.
Right. Okay, but VanVleet's going to be the point guard and the steadying force. No?
I don't know. I don't love the fit. I just don't know where.
So where's the fit?
I don't know. Based on what, because I'm assuming he's going to want $30 million a year.
Correct.
And
where's the fit?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going down all the teams in my head.
Does he want to play in San Antonio with V-Dub?
Right. I mean, and they have money. So
that's what I'm saying. They have money. They have some talent, and they just brought in the biggest prospect of the last 20 years.
I mean, Utah has talent.
Yeah, but I don't see him going to Utah.
Okay. Chicago, no. Indiana, no. Sacramento, surprisingly, no. No, I'm like, no. Like, normally it would be Sacramento, yes, because Sacramento has no talent. And anybody they could get would be a positive. Yeah. How about the Lakers?
How do they afford it? I guess did they renounce? I mean, he'd be a great fit there.
You'd have to renounce Hachimura. You'd have to renounce Hachimura and one other guy.
I guess Reeves, but Reeves doesn't have a salary.
You wouldn't have to renounce Reeves. You could sign Reeves after
D'Angelo Russell.
Well, you're right. You'd have to renounce D'Angelo Russell. Oh, Malik Beasley, and that was the third guy. Malik Beasley and Hachimura. That's how you would be able to do it. Because then you'd be under the cap, and you'd go get Fred VanVleet. You'd combine the three big guys, and then you'd have to fill in with. You'd be able to get Austin Reeves because you'd be able to re-sign him after you get Fred VanVleet. You'd be able to spend the $48 million. By the way, that may become one of the better contracts in the NBA too.
I'm not ready to do that yet.
I said it may be. Look, 4 years and $48 million for that guy, if he continues, may become one of those contracts.
Sure, if he continues, but we need to see more than just.
Let me ask you this, and this was floundered around by numerous people in my discussions in the last week. What on God's green earth is Orlando doing? And what have they been doing?
No idea. I don't know. They're long, and in one end they have a lot of big, tall guys. Then they just pick guard after guard after guard. I don't have the slightest idea what they're doing.
I mean, they have been lost in a flux for a very, very, very long time. I mean, they're paying John. They have a bunch of guys in that 17 million category, 13 to 17 million. Isaac, Fultz, Carter, Gary Harris, and Banchero. And obviously, they're not trading Banchero.
Gary Harris is still on their team?
Yep.
Jeez.
Yep. Gary Harris has a $13 million contract for one more year. Non-guaranteed, though. But they still have to hit the floor. By the way, sign and trade. No, wouldn't work. Well, maybe. Sign and trade, Dame Lillard to Toronto includes Fred VanVleet going back.
Well, here's the thing. At least,
I mean, they both have to agree to it, which makes it that much harder.
Right. So can that fit? Can Toronto fit that under the cap?
Well, they can if they're trading Van Fleet and somebody else, right? They'd have to like a Chris Bouchard who had 32 million. Oh, sorry, 12 million or 14 million. So they have
That
40.
actually, maybe they throw Gary Trent back. That's actually kind of interesting because, like, what I don't understand, I mean, ESPN threw out what I thought was a ridiculous trade to the Nets.
Yeah,
Number one, the Nets don't. Look, as you know, who are my two teams? The
the
Nets
Nets
and the
and Blazers.
Blazers.
Yep.
That trade makes no sense for the Nets. Why are the Nets going to give up 4 first-round picks and 3 players for Lillard? They're not winning a title with Lillard. So it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Damian Lillard made probably the most insightful comment about his trade situation of any player that's ever wanted to be traded. And I'm not sure he still wants to be traded, quite frankly.
None of us have a clue.
Right? When I get traded, the team that I'm getting traded to has to give up a whole lot of stuff. So am I going to be in a better situation than I am today if I go on to a different team? If he goes to the Nets for that trade, he's in no better of a situation than he is today.
This is the deal. I don't know if you saw this.
I saw all the deals, but none of them.
Lillard and Nurkic for Dinwiddie, Claxton, O'Neal, Harris, and 3 first-round picks.
Okay, the players you don't care about. Not one of those players do you care. Not one of those players is a long-term solution.
Well, Claxton maybe.
Claxton needs to hit a free throw before he becomes a long-term solution.
A supplemental player.
Okay, so none of those players are long-term solutions on championship teams. None of them.
You're going to give up 3 first-round picks for a guy. Pretty much your salary cap is now blown. Would you make that deal if you were the Nets?
Is your salary cap blown? You're giving up the same amount. You're giving up the same amount of salary going the other way.
But for a much shorter period of time. Lillard just signed a $250 million extension.
Right.
So your starting 5 with that, I'm guessing, is assuming they're going to re-sign Cam Johnson. I mean, here, Lillard turns 33, has not played in more than 58 games since 2020, and has $163 million left on his contract. So you'd have your starting 5 of Lillard, Cam Johnson, Bridges, Finney-Smith, and Nurkic. And I guess Ben Simmons? Are you so overwhelmed with that you decided to turn off your microphone?
Oh, I keep doing that. Okay. Dinwiddie comes off this year. Harris comes off this year. Claxton comes off this year. Yeah, they all come off this year. That's what. So let me ask you this: if you subbed out Dinwiddie for Ben Simmons, do you feel any better about the deal?
I love Lillard. You know that. I don't know what Lillard is at this point, though. As I said, he's 34. He's a 34-year-old guard.
Yep.
Is that team winning a title?
Is your team now winning a title?
No, it's not.
Is your team now making the playoffs?
I don't know.
Is your team with Lillard making the playoffs?
Yeah, they'll be one and done. I would
think.
I think you're.
What picks were being presented?
The Phoenix 25, the Phoenix 27, the Phoenix 29.
Okay, so Phoenix 25, 27, 29. You owe swaps on a bunch of other stuff, right? To Houston for Harden. You still have the Philadelphia pick. Oh no, you got that this year, right? That was the Philly.
That was the 21 pick, I think.
So you would be devoid of picks except for the swaps with Houston.
Yeah.
Which really don't matter because guess what? Houston's not going to be great. So you're not going to be swapping with Houston. So you're still going to get your picks in 23, 25, and 27.
I think also as a Nets fan, in the last 10 years, I've seen us trade for veterans several times, and it's never worked.
Well, that's why I said if you gave up Simmons instead of Dinwiddie, does that make you feel bad?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this: if Ben Simmons becomes Ben Simmons, And I know we've been waiting 5 years for Ben Simmons to become Ben Simmons. Do you make that trade for Lillard now?
That makes it a lot more interesting because if Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons, then you are a dangerous team because then you have a big three. Although you do need a big guy. They have no front court.
Well, you'd have Nurkic as your center, right?
But Nurkic gets hurt. Nurkic gets hurt 87 times a year.
So does every big man on every team, except for Nikolai Jokic. You'd have Deron Sharp as your backup.
Deron Sharp has not gotten off the bench in 2 years.
Hold on. You're going to play Simmons as your 4, Bridges as your 3, or Finney as your 4, Bridges as your 3.
Simmons and Lillard.
It's
a much more interesting team.
Lillard as your 1. Coming off the bench is Cam Thomas.
And Patty Mills.
That's a good team.
That is much more interesting. And
that's a Knicks. That's the Knicks this year.
The problem
that's better than the Knicks.
It is better. It is probably better than the Knicks. But how exactly do you? What do you?
I'm not saying you're putting all your eggs in the basket of a 34-year-old guy named Damian Lillard, and 31-year-old guy Damian Lillard,
33,
33, and a guy that hasn't played more than 50% of his games in the last 3 years. I get it. I'm not saying make the deal. I'm saying do you make that deal halfway through the season if Ben Simmons becomes Ben Simmons again? Then you're trading expirings, right?
Then it's a lot. Again, then it's a little bit easier for me to swallow. I do want to see how some of the young bigs are playing before I do.
And I think you also need to look. Again, I'm not sure Lillard gets traded. B, if he doesn't get traded, man, that's a crapshoot out there in Portland. You have so many guards. You have Sharp, Henderson, Simons.
And Lillard.
By the way, Simons may be on that top contract list too.
No, the other ones you said are better.
No, I'm talking about maybe. He's 25 for 100.
Simons is a decent player, but it's not a bargain like Jared Allen or Mikal Bridges.
So does Lillard start the year and get usurped by Scoop Henderson and then say, okay, I'm out of here, right?
He may. I don't know.
But then Portland loses all leverage.
And no, they don't. They don't lose all leverage. It's still Damian Lillard.
Okay. So we got a couple other guys that are still on this free agent list. D'Angelo Russell.
I could see him going to Detroit. He strikes me as a guy. Look, his best year was with Brooklyn, but he strikes me as someone who's going to score a lot of empty points.
Yep.
And kind of playing meaningless games. Maybe Charlotte.
Charlotte sounds. I mean, with LaMelo Ball, I think that's a pretty good fit.
Yeah, I mean, he can be the 2, and you have your 1, 2, and Miller at the 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually like that. I'm not sure how much they pay him for that. Okay,
well, he's made so much money. He can't expect to make the money that he's made already. Just can't.
Draymond Green.
Golden State's going to figure out a way to keep him.
Wouldn't it be great if Sacramento just decided nope?
They got too many big contracts coming up. I don't see it.
Well, I think it's a choice, right? Do you keep Harrison Barnes or do you go after Draymond Green? It's A or B. Draymond makes that team really dangerous.
I'll tell you, that team's pretty damn dangerous either way.
I know, but they don't have a center to play defense. They don't have an inside presence. I mean, Sabonis is a good player, but Sabonis is not a defensive player by any means.
No.
Slow of foot. It sounds like we're back in Jumanji. But I think Draymond and Mike Brown being up there makes this even more dangerous. But I think you're right. I think he does wind up back They get the band back together at least for another 2 years. He
Yep.
gets his $50 million to $60 million for a 2-year plus 1 year option, and we see if Chris Paul can last 65 games. Look, I love we talked about this. I love the fit of Paul, provided that A, he's healthy, and B, he's happy being a backup. Playing
I
that.
assume he knew this. Again, I think he probably approved the deal.
Oh, he had to approve it. I can't imagine.
So I mean, he knows what he's going into. So I mean, I think he's okay with it. He also knows he's 38 years old,
And he wants a ring.
Yeah, I mean he's ring chasing.
He's Gary Payton, a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Harrison Barnes.
He resigns.
Okay.
Again, where is he going to go? He's
Outs.
going to want 20. He's going to want 4 for about 100, 110,
Yeah.
I think. Who's going to?
Well,
he's a slightly better than average guard. 3.
Okay, and Jeremy Grant. Look, if Dame Lillard gets his way, he's going back to Portland.
Yeah,
Right.
he wants some veteran players.
Right. And look, that Portland team could be really fun to watch. Like,
I'm sure they will be.
Right? I mean, they are going to be running like crazy. They have between Sharp and Simons and Lillard, and if they get Grant back, they're going to be ridiculously talented and fun to watch. I don't think they could play a lick of defense, and that's where that problem's going to lie. You know what we didn't talk about? And so we didn't talk about the fit back between Marcus Smart, and I know we're basically having an NBA show today, which is no big deal. Marcus Smart going back to the Grizzlies. And basically he is replacing Dillon Brooks because Dillon Brooks will not be resigning.
Yeah, he's replacing Tyus Jones.
Well, but I meant defensively.
He's replacing Dillon Brooks, who replaced Tony Allen,
who
was a Celtic, who ended up a Grizzly. And the circle of life goes on.
And another Celtic. Yeah. And I like the fit. I like the fit even more because John Morant's out for 25 games, right? Because now you have to fill that identity with somebody. And then when Ja comes back, he can play off the ball.
Yep.
When you have a guard, by the way, John Morant may be on that list too at some point soon. I mean, he signed the max contract. What are you talking about? But he signed an early max contract. It's like $35 million. I know it's really hard to say $35 million is a good deal, but $35 million is a pretty.
He's got to get it. Look, he's got to deal with a lot of other stuff before we put him on in that place.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Is Jalen Brunson on that deal? On that list?
He may be. Let's see how next year goes, but he may be.
$100 million for 4 years. It's
not bad.
That's not bad. You know, it's sad that this is where we talk, right? 100, but then we can go to the EPL and say that teams are turning down 100 million euros for Harry Kane. By the way, who is Harry Kane?
Harry Kane is the second best forward, possibly the second best offensive player in the world. He plays for my team, Tottenham. He's been there for 10 years, I guess. And his contract is up next year. And the problem is Tottenham's not going to win this year. So it's a question of whether he wants to go championship hunting or he wants to potentially set the record for most goals in the history of the English Premier League.
Now, can he set the most goals with like Manchester United?
Yeah, the problem is they're not going to trade him. They're not going to sell him to Manchester United. They're not going to sell him. I don't think they're going to sell him.
Well, they've said that they're not, but why would they not sell? They wouldn't sell him to Manchester United because
Tottenham hates Manchester United, and Manchester United is relatively limited on what they can offer based on the FFP. But they turned down $70 million, which doesn't surprise me, from Bayern Munich. because like you're only going to trade him to he's only going to go to a team that can win it, that has a chance to win a title. So that does limit. He can't go to Man City. He's not going to go to Arsenal. I don't see him going to Newcastle. So really, and anything other than Man U is really pretty much a level playing field for where he is right now. So I don't think he's going anywhere because I don't think Daniel Levy has made it abundantly clear he doesn't want to sell him. I think the hope is that if they can have a good year this year, and they were awful last year, but new coach, a little bit more, different. Some players they brought in, new goalie, bringing in another defensive player or another midfielder, excuse me, from Leicester City, James Madison. That the team can have top 4 aspirations, and if they go Champions League, maybe they can re-sign them.
Okay,
but it's similar to. It's not similar to Beal. It's similar to Lillard, where the team has typically been competitive, but they've never won a championship.
Okay.
Do you want to go championship hunting?
And I don't follow EPL as obviously as much as you do, and that's not to say you follow it as much as you used to. But is the idea of championship hunting when you saw Gary Payton and Karl Malone literally championship hunting, right? I got to tell you, I didn't think very highly of that. I thought that they were veterans that were literally mercenaries, being hired out, right, when they went to the Lakers. And I rooted against them for that very reason, because I was like, no, like that's not the way you – if you want to get – and I understand you may bring up LeBron and Chris Bosh and joining the super team for the same reason. I don't see it that way. I just don't. I see that as younger players joining together as opposed to a veteran.
I understand.
That hangs out. Is it seen the same way in the EPL and soccer?
No. First of all, Kane is 30. So the idea is Tottenham's kind of in a rebuild.
Okay.
So last year, people would have gotten really angry if he was sold.
Why?
Or they would have, because then they thought he would have blown their chance to win something.
Okay. So they were competitive.
Yeah, the team imploded this year.
Okay.
So there's a much lower. It would be disappointing, but I don't think there would be much hard feeling on the Tottenham side. I think it would be more understood.
Now, is it understood generally? That's what I was getting at. Not necessarily him, but is it understood generally when, say, a Messi who's 38, right, or 37,
yeah,
if he did the same thing, if he went championship hunting, and he's won championships, but let's say he hadn't, if he went championship hunting, would it be looked at the same way?
I think it's a little different. I think because a lot of these guys, again, there are players who stayed with their team for 12, 13, 14 years.
Sure.
Kind of like a Ray Borkish kind of thing.
Yeah.
And nobody really accused Ray Bork of being championship hunting.
No, but Ray Bork was actually still, yeah, I guess you're right.
Nobody ever said that.
They traded
What'd you say?
My buddy said they traded him so he could win the cup.
Exactly. So
it wasn't of his own volition. There's a difference there. You're leaving.
Yeah, but I think also, look, if you've been with the team for 12, 13 years, you've been 10, 12 years, whatever it is.
Sure.
And you've been the star, and it just hasn't happened, and you want to take a run at it.
Why did Karl Malone get the backlash? And I'll tell you, I gave it to him too, and I'm trying to figure out why I gave it to him.
I don't know. I didn't have a problem with Karl Malone going.
Okay.
I mean, he was with the Utah for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
It was.
Maybe I was more upset that he was leaving Utah than he was going for the Lakers.
Yeah.
There's probably more of that. Okay, we got 5 minutes left. I'll go first. If you haven't been watching baseball, and I know, Seth, you tend to not watch baseball,
there's only one sport going on, and that's Wimbledon.
Please turn into Shea Ohtani at some point.
I've seen.
Please turn it. Please. Shea Ohtani is doing things that we haven't seen since Babe Ruth. And it's insane. And he's going to get $50 million next year as a free agent from somebody. And I will tell you, the one thing that I hope and pray that does not happen is that he does not blow out his arm again, because he did it once. We've seen what happens when players do it twice. Matt Boyd just did it again with Detroit. Jake DeGrom has done it twice. It is a year lost at least, and I catch him while you can. That's the only thing I can say, because this could be gone in a flash. We saw this with Matt Harvey. We saw before our time Mark Fidrich, right? That these players who are as good as they are only as good as their bodies allow them to be.
I'm going to go because I got an anniversary dinner to go to.
Happy anniversary, Carly.
By the way, funny story. I'll call you afterwards.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody. We'll check you next week.